deliverance. So how am I preparing my clients? I really talk about, in a rising tax rate environment, you need to have between 4 and 6 different streams of tax-free income, none of which show up on the IRS's radar, but all of which contribute to you being in the 0% tax bracket. And the reason, let's go through all 6 of those real quick. The reason I recommend 6 is because, and then we'll talk about the 7th here at the end. The reason I recommend 6 is because they all do something unique. They all have unique attributes that set them apart from all of the other streams of tax-free income. So let's talk about them. The Roth IRA, what makes the Roth IRA absolutely unique? Well, the Roth IRA is unique because you can have liquidity. Okay, you can put money in and you can take it out immediately. So you have access to the money, and you can even put it back in so long as you do so within 60 days. So that's what makes the Roth IRA unique. We have the Roth 401k. I love the Roth 401k. And the thing that makes it unique is you get free money. You get a company match. And no other tax-free stream of income that we'll discuss today gives you that free money. That's an immediate return on your investment. Day one, I'd like to say that could help you pay some tax in the back end that you wouldn't otherwise have the ability to pay for with, I mean, you'd pay for it, but you wouldn't be able to pay for it with that match. It would come out of basically your lifestyle savings. The third one I like to talk about is the Roth conversion. Now, the Roth conversion is huge because it has no limits on how much you can convert in any given year. I like to joke about it, but it's true. Mitt Romney's got, as of a couple of years ago, he had over $100 million in his IRA. How he got that much money in his IRA is a completely different conversation, but he has that much. And I've always told him, hey, Mitt, if you're out there listening, you should convert all of that to your Roth IRA and do it all in 1 year. Why? Because the Roth conversion has no limits, and required minimum distributions alone on $100 million will put you at the highest marginal tax bracket starting in 2035, which will be 39.6, assuming the Trump tax cuts get extended. So I love the Roth conversion. It's a real workhorse in getting you to the 0% tax bracket in retirement. We also talk about how to take money out of your IRA completely tax-free. And so we say that in a rising tax rate environment, you need to keep a balance in your IRA or 401k that's low enough that required minimum distributions are equal to or less than your standard deduction. And if you can do that, then your RMDs will be tax-free. And I think that that's the holy grail of financial planning. Why? Because you got a deduction when you put money into that IRA or 401k at the outset, it grew tax deferred. And then by utilizing your standard deduction, you were able to offset that RMD and take that money out 100% tax-free. So that's amazing. And then we get into what we call this LIRP, or life insurance retirement plan. You may call it whole life, or you might call it IUL, what have you. But one of the great things about this is not just that it grows tax-free, you can take that money out tax-free, but also, and I would say 70% of my clients who end up entering into this program do so because of the long-term care feature. People don't like traditional long-term care insurance because it's a use it or lose it proposition. You pay for 30 years, die peaceful in your sleep, never having used it, and they don't send you all your money back at the end. It goes to say pay for someone else's long-term care benefit, and that can be a source of heartburn for a lot of different people. With the cash value life insurance, or LIRP approach, should you die peaceful in your sleep, never having needed long-term care, someone's still getting a death benefit, probably your kids or your grandkids. So there isn't that sensation of having paid for something you hope you never have to use. And then the sixth one is if you can keep your provisional income low enough, and Don talked a little bit about provisional income, then you can get your Social Security tax-free. And tax-free Social Security is unique because it really helps offset a lot of the risks that are amplified by longevity risk. This idea that you could live too long, that your money doesn't last as long as you do. And so we're talking sequence of return risk, inflation risk, long-term care risk. You guys get the idea. And so, so these are 6 different streams of tax-free income. And when you have 6 different streams of tax-free income, you really are taking advantage of every nook and cranny in the IRS tax code. It's a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement. And what Don is talking about today is he's talking about a potential 7th stream of tax-free income that you should be considering when implementing that balanced, comprehensive approach to getting your clients to the 0% tax bracket. Why, by the way, would we want to get our clients to the 0% tax bracket? Because if the tax rates double, like David Walker's predicting, and you're in the 0% tax bracket, 2 times 0 is still 0. So let's talk about the 7th stream of tax-free income, and that's the reverse mortgage. One of the things that really sold me on the idea of the reverse mortgage is simply this. Let's say that your mom, and my mom falls into this situation. Let's say your mom has a pile of cash, And she's got two choices of how she can pay for her living expenses in retirement. She can spend down that pile of cash, okay, that could otherwise be growing and compounding in the stock market. Or, and by the way, in that scenario, she would pass the house on to you. She wouldn't pass the pile of cash on to you. She would pass the house on to you. And by the way, they've done surveys on this, and Don can correct me if I'm way off base here, but only 1% of children want to inherit their parents' house. And usually what they do is they inherit it, say it's $1 million house, and then they sell it at a fire sale because they need the money. So they end up getting maybe 700,000 for it, what have you. The converse seems to be much more attractive and alternative. And what am I talking about? Instead of spending that pile of cash, you allow that to continue to grow and compound in the stock market, and you spend down the equity in your house. Why? Because your children don't want to inherit your equity, okay? They don't want to inherit your equity. They would much rather inherit an investment that they could convert to cash a lot easier. And so instead of passing on the house and then spending down the cash or the investments in the meantime, you spend down your home equity, and then you let those stock market assets grow and compound between now and when they die, and that's what gets passed on to the next generation. It solves a lot of different problems all at the same time. And so I think that you really ought to consider including home equity and reverse mortgages as a way to complement all of the other streams of tax-free income that we talked about here today. So in summary, we're talking Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, Roth conversions, taking money out of your IRA up to your standard deduction so your RMDs can be tax-free. The LIRP, which you can grow and compound tax-free. You can take money out tax-free, but you can also receive it in advance of your death for the purpose of paying for long-term care. And if you can keep your provisional income low enough, then your Social Security is also tax-free. And by the way, when you take income out of a reverse mortgage, it doesn't affect your IRMA thresholds. It doesn't affect provisional income thresholds. It's immune to the effect of rising tax rates over time. It really is something that should be considered alongside those other 6 streams of income, tax-free income that we talked about. And all that said, Don, I think I'll pass it right back to you.